Wilderness Watch co-founder and former Bridger National Forest supervisor Bill Worf for many years closely followed the management of the South Warner Wilderness. During a visit to the region on behalf of Wilderness Watch in September 2003, Worf found environmental damage caused by livestock grazing in the Pine Creek Basin. Worf spoke about his observations when I visited his Missoula, Montana home in August 2004.
Pine Creek Basin is one of the more popular recreation areas. It's really popular for fishing, day trips, and an awful lot of the grazing comments that have come from the public come out of people who visited Pine Creek Basin. The basin itself, it's pretty small, and I think the permittee puts 80 head in for supposedly about 2 weeks, so something like 40 animal unit months are produced from there. And in the process, even if you graze the basin properly, the route in and out of the basin is right up the trail that all the recreationists hike that go in there fishing, and it just looks terrible. It's just denuded. It can't help but reflect badly on people's impression of the impact of grazing in there. Our suggestion on our trip was that ought to just be closed to grazing, unless they can find another way of getting those cattle in and out of the basin, that it's probably producing less than $100 worth of forage as far as return to the taxpayers is concerned. And you know, it can't be justified from an economic standpoint. And there was another thing about Pine Creek Basin that we found in there, and that was that there was water and sediment running off of the uplands into the basin, big floodplain out on the riparian area in the bottom of the basin. And that was coming from heavy sheep use up on the uplands. Again, that is another example of how overuse in the uplands creates watershed problems. The recreationists have basically been told that, well, there isn't anything we can do about grazing. The grazing guidelines that were passed in connection with the Colorado Wilderness Bill a few years ago don't allow us to adjust grazing, which is not true. But that's the common theme that's been given to the recreationists that complain. The Forest Service, particularly, specifically, Edie Asro allowed the permittee that runs into Pine Creek Basin to post a sheet saying what great things cows are in the Forest Service bulletin board, glass-covered bulletin board at the trailhead, how important they are to the forest there, which is an indication, I guess, of the importance that Edie puts on grazing. One of the concerns I have is whether or not she can really stand up to the pressure or the resistance of those strong permittees. You know, she lives right there in the little town of Cedarville, which is 1,500 people maybe, something like that. And her daughter goes to school. I think she's putting her out of high school now, right there. And Edie, if she takes on these grazing issues at all, is going to anger some of her neighbors and her daughter's friends. There's a tremendous temptation to tread lightly.